before we start. So the concept, I need to open my slides. So yeah, so welcome back. I am Sampa, CEO of Samtech Group of Companies, and in Samtech Group of Companies, you have Samtech Multimedia. So let's start. So we are starting from elements of design, and in elements of design, um, these are digital components or building blocks used to create visual compositions. These elements are essential for constructing any artwork or design, whether in painting, drawing, sculpture, graphic designing, or other creative fields. But then you see, we are talking about graphic designing. Yeah, so whatever you're going to speak now, whatever we're going to talk about, whatever we're going to discuss now, it's about graphic design. Get it? Let me check my audio. I don't know whether. Okay, yeah, it has background noise suppression. But then let me see. Okay, yeah. So I think this is better. Yeah. So let's continue. So what we are talking about is the elements of design. What are these elements of design? So those of us, let me take you back to inter-science. Those of us who took science serious, we know atom. Sorry, atom is the smallest particle of an element, right? Yeah. So for any element you see out there, for any composition you see out there, atom is the smallest, the basic element. So elements of design, these are the smallest form of elements found in designs. Did you get it? So next slide. Design is made up of basic elements built into structure that communicates a message. These elements are the building blocks you need to construct in your design. Then these objects can be arranged in any way as part of your composition. We call this principles of design. These principles are important concepts that can help you organize the basic structural elements on your page. So after this course is element of design. After this course, we will move ahead to principles of design. But then I'm not the one going to take you through principles of design. I'll make the notes available to you guys. Yeah. So principles of design is more about the theoretical aspects or the physiological um concept behind most of the things we do in graphic design. Yeah. So you need to actually sit down and study those stuffs. So we have unity, balance, repetition, harmony, contrast, rhythm, movement. Yeah, all of these stuff you need to actually sit down and study it for yourself. Then so let's move on. So in this course, as I said, we'll dive into the seven no over seven sorry. So the six elements of design that can help you improve your content creation skills and ability to communicate through design. Okay. So we have one lines, we have two shapes, we have three colors, we have four texture, five text, and six images. So when you talk about lines, this is how the lines look like. So there's the line. So there's a line. There's also a type of line. Those of us who took our what's the name? Is it core skills? BDT core skills, right? I think we learned about lines or pre-take. Pre-take, yeah. Those of us who did pre-take. We learned about lines. We have this take line, so short dashes, zigzag. You get it. From there, we go to shapes. So when you pick any design, you are supposed to be able to identify all these elements in the design. So we are supposed to be able to see the lines in the artwork. We are supposed to see the shapes in the artwork. We are supposed to identify the colors in the artwork. So in the colors, we have hue, we have tint, we have shade, we have tone. Okay. So those of us who took I think BDT in BDT, the visual arts aspect of BDT, the visual arts, yeah, the visual arts aspect of BDT. We learned about colors. So in colors, we learned about the hue, we learned about the tint, we learned about the shade, we learned about the tone. I'm not sure that our saturation and desaturated. So let's go ahead to learn more about to know about the hue. Those of us who have forgotten, let's kind of refresh ourselves. So what is hue? Hue is the name of a color in its purest form. For instance, cyan, magenta, and green are pure. Okay. We are using these names because these are the root names of the colors. You get it, the technical names of the colors. Then we have shade. Shade is the addition of black to a hue in order to make a darker version. So shade as we see the shade, yes, shade means a darker version of something. You get it. Then we have tint. So in tint is the addition of white to a color to make a whiter version of the color. You get it. Then you have tone. Is the addition of gray to make a color muted. So muted in the form of I don't know when you say tone, the tone of something, you are able to see the shade, the tint, the brighter aspects of the object. Yes, you're able to differentiate between them. That's the tone. Then you have saturation, which means refers to the purest of a color, especially its most intense when it's not mixed with white or black. Okay. So from there, um, we moved into other color systems. So in design, there are two color systems. There are two color systems, namely RGB and CYMK. CYMK. So the RGB is a system dedicated to digital systems. Okay, it is dedicated to digital systems. So for all designs that you see on your screens, computer screens, laptop screens, on your phone screen, LED screens, all those big LED billboard screens over there, any design at all that you see in a digital form, okay, meaning that design was done with RGB colors. You realize that their colors shine, okay, their colors pop out. Yeah, you see the colors pop out. Okay, so for RGB, it stands for red, green, and blue. The colors are produced by adding primary colors together to create various color combination. This mode should be used for designs that will only be used on screen, as I said. Okay. Then we have the RGB. If you want your output A, did I say RGB? Then sorry. Then you have the CMYK. Why was I saying CYMK? Oh, then we have CMYK. CMYK. So for CMYK, okay, they are used for printing formats, for printable formats. Why? Most of the printers on the market now print CMYK. Okay, most of the printers, if you've actually worked in a printing factory or in a printing shop or you are familiar with printing, you realize that the printer has four colors: the cyan, the magenta, the yellow, and the key, which is the black. Okay, the cyan. So the C stands for the cyan, the M stands for the magenta, the Y stands for the yellow, and the black, and the K stands for black or key. Yes, it's so CMYK reduces the light that would be reflected on a white background to create color. It is extremely important to start file using the right color system. Converting colors between the systems can result in muted or inaccurate color. Yeah, that one is very true. So let me give you an example. let's do this. Let's do let me create a new sheet. Okay, so you see in this work it's Alchibi. This is Alchibi, okay. So let me give you let me play this thing. Okay, so let's use a new sheet. Okay. Yeah. I think one of the colors that you can use to see whether it's CYMK or RGB is I think red, the red, blue, and green. Yeah, it's very easy to identify whether it is CYMK or so let me just wait for instance. You see the way the red is popping here. Okay. Those of you who don't have correct computer screens, you wouldn't be able to really differentiate. But then if you have correct computer screen, your desktop screen is very good. You should be able to differentiate this very easily. So this is RGB. So now let's create another sheet. Then we change the color mode to CMYK. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to pick this one and move it to another one. There will be an answer you change the colors or something. Look at the color here and look at the color here. I didn't see it. You can see some changes. Let me give it. Let me show you one way of checking this. Yeah. So I've all these ones. So now check. Can you see that the CYMK is a little bit darker than the RGB? Can you see that? Are you able to differentiate? Yeah. So that there's the difference we are talking about. So check. Now let me create another shape here. Let's pick. Let's use blue. So let's pick here. So let's use this. Now let us copy the same blue to the next work. You see the difference? You see, for blue, you can see the difference clearly. So this is the same blue we picked from the RGB version to the CMYK version. So can you see the difference? This is what I'm talking about. Now let's create another one for green. Let me create another one for green. Let's create another one for green. So this is green. Or I'm not gonna say lemon green. Let me make it. Let me see. I think this one is more green. Uh-huh. So now let's copy this one to the other side. Can you see the difference? Check. So you realize that all the colors on the RGB side, all the colors on the RGB side pops. Okay, it's shiny. Like you can see them in their pure states. Get it? But then the colors in the CMYK side looks a little bit dull. Can you see a little bit dull? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you instead of designing your work in RGB, you design your work in CYMK, and let's say your work is going to be used with screens, it means you have to actually change your color format. But then if your work is going to be printed, you are supposed to design your works in CMYK. Unless of course, there are RGB printers on the market, but then it's not very common. In our parts of the world, the RGB printers are not that common. So ideally, it's very advisable that you design in CMYK straight up. Okay. Yeah. So let's go on with our details. Yeah. So the C. Okay, I think you've actually talked about this. Now, wow. Okay. So we've talked about line shape. Shapes are two there. So we've talked about line, shapes, colors. So it was color that we were on. So now texture. So the texture actually gives the look and feel of the artwork. Okay. The look and feel. It gives some kind of feeling sensation. Okay. That's the texture. Then we go ahead with I think which one haven't we talked about? I think we've talked about line shapes, colors, gesture. Okay, so test. So test as normal test. We are supposed to identify every artwork. Okay, not all artwork, but most artwork, most designs contains text. Okay. Then from there, you go to um images. All artworks contain images. All artwork contains images. All artwork. So these are the elements of design. So any design you see out there, any design at all you see out there, you should be able to um identify the elements of design. Okay. Any design you see out there, any flyer you see out there, when you are going, so now one first assignment, when you are going anywhere, let's say you're going home, you're going to the market, anytime you see a poster, make sure you're able to identify all the six elements of design. Some school of thought says we have seven, some say eight. They add shapes, they add space. I say okay, they add space, they add value and other stuff. So but then I don't think those stuffs are actually under principles of design and not elements of design. Okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead and identify some of the elements of design. Let me open my browser and I think let me check Pinterest. So for Pinterest, let me see because when I use this one to open my Pinterest account, so let me just type Pinterest. Let's open Pinterest. So let's I have a Pinterest account, so let's use my Pinterest. So something, just search for something therapy dot something therapy dot then press enter. Yeah. So about 80% of the designs here are my works. Some of the works here, especially like this one, for instance, I collaborated with someone. So it's not entirely my work. So this work is for I think Jackson. This work is for Watson, I think. Yeah. So some of the works are mine. This work too is for Watson. This work too is for Watson. Yeah. So some of the works are mine. Some of them too are not. So let's pick any of the designs or let's enter into my account first. Then you come to create. So you can follow me on Pinterest, okay? If you want more, and if you would want to get notifications whether I've uploaded new designs or anything, just follow me and you get this notification. So let's use this. This is my one of my recent work. I think I did this work just last week. Yeah. So um element of design. So let's see if we can identify the element of design here. So we talked about images. So this all this image. So there's an image, 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 there's an image. Ideally, I designed the entire image myself. So like the design on the image on the t-shirt itself, I'm the one who designed it here. So there's the order now is a text, right? Then you have this shape. Okay, you have this shape. Then the core slash WhatsApp. These are all tests. These are all images. There's an image. There's a test, right? So there's this thing, for instance, is a shape. There's a test. There's a test. Okay. So let's move ahead. Let's go back. Let's pick another one. Alien. Jesus. Okay, so this design is very simple. Very, very, very simple. But wasn't simple. How we doing it? Yes. So the key needs to logo. So there's an image. the e-learning logo. There's an image. These are all tests. Kines e-learning center. These are all tests. Happy Easter. There's all tests. The Did I see the two? So there's an image, and these are all tests through the powerful blah 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 blah. These are all tests. Then this part was a shape. Okay. Then we have follow chemistry learning on this test. These are all images. So if you want to get a places to download your icons, I think flat icon dot com. Yeah, we're supposed to get these files from there. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's check another one. Let's do this one. So I did this, I think last year. Yeah, last year. Yeah. So this is a shape. This one is an image. The Pentecost International test. These are all tests. Then you see there's a texture in it. Check. It's a texture in it. This is shape. Then there's a texture here. There's test. There's an image test. These are all icons. These are all images I downloaded. This is shape, the rectangle. This is shape. Then the color in it. I, I've forgotten I mentioned color. Then side attraction. This is a test. You get it. Let's go back. So you are supposed to be able to identify the lines, all the elements of the design. Okay, all the elements. Wait there. So sorry, excuse me. So every design you see out there, every um flyer you see out there contains all the elements of design. So here we have the images, this image, test, there's test, okay. But then you see it has a golden texture 3D form fill. I don't know if you can see it here. So there's the texture we are talking about. So check the interface. These are images. These are test. Then the colors, the texture and stuff. Get it here. So when we talk about elements of design, these are the things we are actually talking about. So any design you see out there, any design you see out there, you are supposed to be able to identify the colors, the lines, the shapes, the texture, the um, all the elements you've mentioned. So the lines, the shapes, the colors, the texture, the text, the image. You are supposed to identify all of these elements on your artwork. Okay, you are supposed to identify them on your artwork. Yeah. So I think this is where we would end. This where we would end. I would share the slides on your page so that you all would have a look at the slides and you can actually study more. So when you go to YouTube, you can type in element of design and you would see over thousands of videos. Okay, so yeah. So I'll see you um again next time. Okay. Then so the next time you will start working on actually start Photoshop directly. You will start Photoshop. And yeah, you start working with Photoshop straight from the onset. So let me see you guys next time. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.